Welcome to episode 20 in the Accident Theory series. So far, we have learned that early thinking about accidents tended to look for simple explanations, most often locating cause within individuals or identifiable groups. Accidents were seen as the result of personal traits, behaviors, or inherent weaknesses. Over time, this way of thinking shaped influential ideas such as accident proneness, which claimed that some people are naturally more likely to be injured. Although compelling anecdotes and everyday language helped keep these beliefs alive, modern research has consistently shown that accidents are far better explained by work conditions than by personal characteristics. In today's episode, we will look at coupling and complexity. Specifically, we will look at tight versus loose coupling. We will discuss linear versus nonlinear complexity, and we will end the episode with how to blend coupling and complexity together. In his 1984 book, Normal Accidents, Living with High-Risk Technologies, Charles Perrow introduced the term normal accidents to highlight the inevitability of accidents in complex systems. He used normal to convey that, due to the inherent vulnerabilities of these systems, incidents are bound to happen and can lead to harmful outcomes. Many incident investigations have shown that routine factors, which typically function without problems, can sometimes align to trigger a disaster. Perrow noted that the likelihood of these factors leading to a catastrophe depends on the overall characteristics of the system. His framework classifies systems based on two key dimensions: the complexity of their interactions, complex versus linear, and the degree of coupling between components, tight versus loose. Tight coupling occurs when components and subsystems have immediate and significant effects on each other. In contrast, loosely coupled systems allow more time for effects to develop, giving people a chance to notice and respond before issues arise. Loosely coupled systems are generally more flexible and often spread across multiple locations, with workers in interchangeable roles and components that are easily replaced. These systems rely on local feedback and reduce dependency on distant or centralized resources, allowing people to better understand the system, anticipate changes, and adapt when materials or personnel are unavailable. The 1979 partial meltdown at 3 Mile Island is considered to be a tightly coupled accident, as none of the accidents were caused by management or operator ineptness or by poor government regulation, though these characteristics existed and should have been expected. Loose coupling typically results from built-in design flexibility, where interactions between system parts are not as time-sensitive. However, this flexibility can come at the expense of efficiency. For example, a student who stays up until midnight working and has an exam at 9 a.m. may leave home at 8:15 to maximize sleep, creating a tightly coupled situation where there is little room for error in timing. Inventory management offers another example. Holding large quantities of raw materials creates a buffer against delays, but it ties up funds without generating returns. To avoid this, many businesses adopt just-in-time inventory systems, which create tight coupling, where delays, such as bad weather or supply chain disruptions, can quickly halt production. Coupling is also influenced by factors such as quality, sequence, and available alternatives. If a process requires perfect quality, even minor issues can lead to failure, creating tight coupling. More tolerance for variations loosens the coupling. In public health, strategies like cross-training staff, hiring temporary workers, or enabling telecommuting help to reduce tight coupling by ensuring work continues even when illness affects a large portion of the team. Think of the last task you completed. What was the relation between the amount of time required to complete the project and how much time you allocated? Would you consider the timing to be tight or loose? Share your thoughts in this episode's group chat or the comments section if you are following on social media. In systems with interactive complexity, failures in different components or subsystems can interact in unpredictable ways, leading to unexpected outcomes. This happens because the various elements of the system can influence each other in ways that are not immediately apparent or understood, making it difficult to anticipate how problems will evolve. In contrast, simpler systems exhibit linear interactions, where changes in one part of the system directly affect the next, with each step following in a clear and predictable sequence. For example, in a basic manufacturing process, raw materials and energy are introduced, processed, and transformed into a final product for sale. Each phase follows logically from the previous one, making the system easier to manage and predict. Several characteristics can increase the complexity of a system. One factor is the presence of shared connections between subsystems or parts that are not typically related. These connections can create dependencies between components that are otherwise independent, complicating the system's behavior. Additionally, limited knowledge or understanding of certain processes adds to complexity, as does the existence of unfamiliar or unexpected feedback loops, situations where outputs from one part of the system influence other parts in ways that are difficult to foresee. Furthermore, systems with many control variables that can interact with one another also tend to be more complex, as managing these variables requires understanding how they influence each other. Other contributors to complexity include relying on indirect or inferential information sources, which may be incomplete or unclear, and dealing with processes that involve significant transformations of inputs into outputs, where the relationship between what goes in and what comes out is not straightforward. The ability to detect and understand interactions within a system plays a crucial role in determining how complex that system appears. When relationships and functional interactions are obvious, easily visible, and routine, even a system with many components and interactions can be considered linear because its behavior is relatively predictable. On the other hand, when interactions are hidden, unexpected, or difficult to comprehend, the system is classified as complex. In complex systems, the lack of transparency and predictability in how parts interact makes it harder to anticipate outcomes, increasing the potential for unforeseen problems. Thus, the distinction between linear and complex systems often depends not only on the actual structure of the system, but also on how well its interactions can be observed and understood. Complex and tightly coupled systems increase risks for operators, passengers, bystanders, the environment, and even future generations. In these systems, problems can escalate quickly, leaving little time to react or prevent harm. Society often faces difficult trade-offs when managing such systems. For example, the production of summer smog from vehicle emissions is not an accident, but rather an accepted consequence in a society reliant on cars for transportation. Loosely coupled systems, by contrast, offer advantages because they respond more gradually to failures or external pressures. When a component fails or an unexpected event occurs, these systems remain stable for longer, giving people time to devise effective responses, even if no formal plan exists. This flexibility allows room for improvisation in handling issues, reducing the likelihood of immediate, widespread consequences. However, while tightly coupled systems carry higher risks, they are not inherently bad, and loose coupling is not always the better option. Tightly coupled systems can be more efficient as their rapid response to defects prevents long runs of poor quality products or services. When failures are non-catastrophic, they can trigger quick corrective actions, improving the system overall. These systems can still be managed effectively, but this requires careful planning during the design phase. Addressing potential failure modes ahead of time is essential, as relying on luck or hope is not a substitute for preparation. Backup systems must be in place, and control mechanisms should be designed to be easily understood even by unfamiliar users. Human intervention in tightly coupled systems can sometimes worsen the situation, as a hasty or incorrect response can quickly propagate problems throughout the system. Therefore, a clear understanding of the system's dynamics is crucial to ensure timely and appropriate actions when failures occur. We can create a matrix diagram that categorizes systems or activities based on two axes: interactions, linear to complex, and coupling, loose to tight. It highlights different types of systems or activities in 4 quadrants. The top left is linear tight. These are systems with predictable, straightforward processes and strong interdependencies, such as dams, power grids, marine transport, and rail transport. The top right is complex tight. In this quadrant, systems with intricate, interrelated processes and tight coupling can be found. Environments like nuclear power plants, DNA research labs, chemicals plants, space missions, and military early warning systems. The bottom left represents linear loose systems with straightforward processes and less strict interdependencies. Example could be trade schools, assembly line production, and most manufacturing. The bottom right is where you will find complex loose systems with intricate processes and weaker coupling. Good examples where this could be found would be in universities, multi-goal agencies, military adventures, and research and operations firms. In episode 20, we looked at Charles Perrow's concept of normal accidents, which argues that accidents are inevitable in complex systems because routine components can interact in unexpected ways, with risks shaped by how complex the interactions are and how tightly system elements are coupled. Tight coupling occurs when components and subsystems have immediate and significant effects on each other. Loosely coupled systems allow more time for effects to develop, giving people a chance to notice and respond before issues arise. If a process requires perfect quality, even minor issues can lead to failure, creating tight coupling. In public health, strategies like cross-training staff, hiring temporary workers, or enabling telecommuting help to reduce tight coupling by ensuring work continues even when illness affects a large portion of the team. Simpler systems exhibit linear interactions, where changes in one part of the system directly affect the next, with each step following in a clear and predictable sequence. Several characteristics can increase the complexity of a system. One factor is the presence of shared connections between subsystems or parts that are not typically related. The ability to detect and understand interactions within a system plays a crucial role in determining how complex that system appears. Complex and tightly coupled systems increase risks for operators, passengers, bystanders, the environment, and even future generations. Loosely coupled systems offer advantages because they respond more gradually to failures or external pressures. When a component fails or an unexpected event occurs, these systems remain stable for longer, giving people time to devise effective responses, even if no formal plan exists. COHSI provides its students with a multiple-choice quiz at the end of each episode, which can be used as practice material for the content that has been covered. A free version of the quiz can be accessed by anyone following our content on social media by using the QR code shown on the screen. If you are a COHSI student, please complete the discussion board topics found throughout this unit, as well as the episode quiz. Both of these tasks can be found under their appropriate tabs in your learning portal. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to your course instructor. Thank you for watching and have a safe day.